We're back with Benjamin Crump, attorney for the Trayvon Martin family. He has not spoken since the trial began and joins us exclusively tonight. Attorney Crump, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Reverend Sharpton.
First of all, how are your clients doing? How is the Martin family doing through all of this?
Well, Reverend Sharpton, it is very emotional for the parents to get this far on their journey to justice and then to have such a difficult time sitting through the trial. But every day they pray and they just have faith that everything is going to be all right.
Now, you have not been able to sit in the courtroom because you were a potential witness and you've been outside of the courtroom, but you've certainly probably monitored the media and talked to your law partners. What is your assessment of the trial now that the defense has rested?
Unfortunately, Reverend Sharpton, because of the rules, I was not able to monitor or watch the trial in any way because I potentially was going to be called by a witness by the defense. They didn't call me, but because the rules of court, I couldn't watch. But I generally believe, as I've always believed all along, that there was overwhelming evidence to hold George Zimmerman accountable for getting out of his car, profiling and pursuing Trayvon Martin, and we all heard the 911 call, and minutes later, Trayvon is shot in the heart. So we have faith that if the jury follows the evidence, he will be held accountable.
Well, let me show you one emotional moment in the trial, and this was during your client Sabrina Fulton's testimony, including one of the moments that the defense cross-examined her. Listen to this.
Okay.
You certainly hope, as a mom, you certainly hope that your son, Trayvon Martin, would not have done anything that would have led to his own death, correct?
What I hope for is that this wouldn't have never happened and he would still be here.
Absolutely.
That's my hope.
How do you respond to that exchange where the defense attorney really implied she was hoping for a certain scenario and it seems that she took it somewhere else?
Well, I'm a little surprised that she was cross-examined about certain things. There's a certain respect you give to victims, and that didn't seem to be as thoughtful and considerate of a mother who lost her teenage son who was just walking home, minding his business, who had every right to defend himself against a strange man who he didn't know who confronted him. And so Sabrina and Tracy, they have been the wonderful, wonderful example of keeping their constraint, their composure, and trying as best they can to remember that it's about getting justice for their son. And every day, every night, that's all they prayed for, that's all they've worked for, Reverend Sharpton. And you can't imagine the conversations we have about how it's hard for them to imagine Trayvon is gone.
Now, Attorney Crump, I want to raise something to you that I addressed last night. There's some that have speculated what would be the reaction if, for some reason, there's an acquittal here of all charges, and what would be the reaction in particularly the African-American community. And I not only stood up and talked about my position and record in that, but I could say from when you called me about this case on, this has been the insistence not only of you and Attorney Parks, but of the family, that everyone conduct themselves at rallies and at all proceedings with utmost respect and peace. I remember when someone had said they wanted to put a reward out on George Zimmerman to find him, that Mrs. Fulton told us, no, y'all go back in that press conference, and we walked back in the church, and she denounced it. So there is no remote inference by anyone that has been connected with the family or the protest that we would want anything but to see justice in the courtroom and nothing even remotely mean, less known violent, no matter what the outcome.
Yes, sir, Reverend Sharpton. They have always prayed and asked for peaceful justice, and they want everybody to follow their example, because if they can accept the rule of law, then everybody should be able to. They don't want people to do what they believe George Zimmerman did the night when he shot Trayvon in the heart by taking the law into their own hands. And we clearly understand that this verdict is going to set a precedence one way or the other. It's going to say whether anybody who kills an unarmed child will be held accountable, or you can kill certain unarmed teenage children from certain ethnicities and not be held accountable. A precedent is going to be set one way or the other, and we just pray that it's set to show everybody that this is not right.
Attorney Crump, thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for being here, and we'll be talking to you, I'm sure, as we go further in the deliberations and the result.